Imagine turning a dying republic into the greatest empire the world had ever seen, without ever calling yourself king. That's exactly what Augustus did. From a sickly teenager named Octavian to the most powerful man in history, this is the incredible story of Augustus Caesar, the man who created Rome's golden age. Today we're going to trace the wild journey of a guy who single-handedly solved the chaos of a dying republic. We'll be hitting 5 key chapters: heir to Julius Caesar, the Roman civil wars, creating the Principate, Rome's golden age, and finally, legacy of an emperor. Let's get right into it. Part 1: Heir to Julius Caesar, or as it's perfectly subtitled here, the boy who would rule. Augustus was actually born Gaius Octavius in 63 BC. He came from a wealthy family, sure, but they weren't exactly among Rome's most powerful elites. That all changed when his great-uncle, the legendary Julius Caesar, named him his adopted son and heir in his will. Then, at just 18 years old, everything accelerated. Caesar was suddenly assassinated in 44 BC. And the young Octavian found himself at the center of Rome's greatest power struggle. So, what do you do to survive? You ally yourself with power. Enter the members of the Second Triumvirate: Octavian, Mark Antony, and Lepidus. Together they presented a united front. But as anyone familiar with Roman politics knows, alliances in Rome never lasted long. This was less a lasting friendship and more a temporary ceasefire. And that brings us straight into part 2. The Roman civil wars and the fall of the Republic. The spark ignited with Caesar's assassination. Octavian and Antony actually teamed up at first. Together they crushed Caesar's assassins at the Battle of Philippi. But soon the two most powerful men in Rome turned on each other. The final showdown came at the Battle of Actium in 31 BC. Octavian decisively defeated Mark Antony and Cleopatra, and then boom, that he becomes the unchallenged master of the Roman world. Instead of becoming a dictator like Caesar, Octavian played a brilliant political game that perfectly sets up 27 BC, where he supposedly gives his power back to the Senate. So let's talk about part 3, creating the Principate. This was Augustus's absolute masterclass in political genius. Instead of declaring himself dictator like Julius Caesar, which, as we know, got him assassinated, Augustus played a brilliant game. He claimed he had restored the Republic. He took the humble-sounding title of First Citizen, Princeps. But in reality he held all the real power. In 27 BC he dramatically returned power to the Senate, only for them to immediately hand it right back to him, along with a brand new title, Augustus, meaning the revered one. This clever system he created, keeping the comforting appearance of the Republic while controlling everything behind the scenes, became known as the Principate. It was basically a disguised monarchy, and it worked perfectly. With his power totally secured, we now enter part 4, Rome's golden age, defined by the legendary Pax Romana. Just listen to this famous quote: "I found Rome a city of brick and left it a city of marble." The sheer ambition in that line. And he meant it literally. Augustus completely rebuilt the city with massive public works projects. But metaphorically, it perfectly represented his transformation of the Roman state, turning a crumbling, chaotic republic into a strong, gleaming empire. What's really impressive is the sheer scale of his reforms. He created Rome's first truly professional army and established the elite Praetorian Guard. He overhauled the entire administration, reforming taxes, building vast networks of roads, and rewriting laws. Under his rule, the empire expanded significantly, ushering in nearly 2 centuries of relative peace, famously known as the Pax Romana. Which brings us to our final chapter, part 5, Legacy of an Emperor and the End of an Era. Because behind all the marble, Augustus was just a human being. He actually married 3 times, and his third wife Livia was his absolute most trusted advisor for over 50 years. But despite having literally all the power in the world, he faced a massive, terrifying problem. Succession crisis. He didn't have any surviving biological sons, and trying to securely pass down imperial power in a system pretending to be a republic? That's incredibly dangerous. After outliving several of his top choices, he eventually chose his stepson Tiberius too. On the imperial legacy, Augustus finally died in 14 AD at the age of 75. And honestly, for a sickly teenager who was thrown right into a deadly civil war, Living to 75 is mind-blowing. The Senate actually declared him a god after his death, but his true genius was entirely human. He managed to permanently end the bloody chaos of the Republic and successfully build a stable system of imperial rule that held strong for centuries. Augustus didn't just win wars, he built an empire that shaped the modern world. One man changed everything. Which part of Augustus' story surprised you the most? Let me know in the comments. If you love Roman history, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more.